Hello everybody and welcome to a special Halloween episode of Dungeons & Dragons Monster Maker. So in this episode I decided to go ahead and pre-create 3 different monsters that I can kind of see being used in different Halloween settings. For instance, this one will be a mimic, however it's going to be a very special kind. It's going to be a kind that could be seen in, say, a pumpkin patch if you want to use that as a situation. So it has the normal shape changing, adhesive, all of those traits. I made it a little bit weaker so that you can just have a kind of CR1 mimic. That way you could have it for even, your first level party going out on a special Halloween adventure this coming week. Well, you've already got a monster that's ready to challenge them but shouldn't kill them. And it's got, I gave it a vulnerability to make it a little bit easier to deal with, and because it's kind of based off a plant despite being a monstrosity, it has a very low armor class, a few hit points. But overall, I'd say that this is a monster that I would be able to see people taking on. On the other hand, if you say have a party of 4 4th level people, and then you send them into a pumpkin patch and each one of them manages to attach their hands to one of these, I could see that being a pretty interesting encounter. They'd be, I believe, fairly challenged. And just in case that isn't the case, I decided to give them this seed shot ability. Now this is kind of unique in that it shoots it in a 20-foot line. The first creature that would be hit is able to choose if they want to make the dexterity save, or they can just take it and take all the damage. That's kind of something that people forget, and I've never seen a monster that actually takes advantage of that, so I decided to change that. So this does do 3d4 acid damage, which is up to 12, which can kill some first level people, especially if you have like a wizard. So if you want, it might be a good idea to have like a barbarian jump in front and just accept the agree to automatically fail it, and then soak up the damage, whatever it will be, because it might be 3 damage, it might be 12 damage, it might be anywhere in between. On the other hand, if someone is in front but decides to save, the next creature in the area must make the same saving throw, and if they fail it, they have to take that much damage. So, you have some strategy there. You can decide if you want to be the hero, soak up a lot of damage, get hurt, but protect your friend. Or you can decide if you just want to roll the dice, try and jump out of the way, but your friend's going to know that you kind of left them alone. Meanwhile, if you do decide to get up and close and personal, it's probably going to grapple you, and in doing so, it's going to be dealing a fair amount of damage with this advantage. So, a capable foe to take on in most situations. And just in case that didn't convince you, I decided to create a little art of all the creatures. So here is my example of how I kind of imagined the pumpkin mimic. Absolutely inspired by the mimic art, but also by, the typical jack-o'-lanterns. It's got, the pseudopod as its vine. It's got the sharp teeth, which can deal acid damage, and kind of shows you where those acid-soaked seeds that can shoot out come from. And for the next monster. Now this one I'm very happy to bring to you because it kind of ties in with the other content of my channel, which is currently mostly, those almost 40 episodes of Monster Hunter World. I will be taking a slight break from that until Wednesday's over, but then we'll be right back to it on Friday. So, if you're excited for those, don't worry, they're not gone forever. Just going to have 3 episodes of another video game to be a little more fitting for the Halloween feel. However, the Radobaan, which is a monster in Monster Hunter World, is pretty fitting for Halloween because it's this wyvern that uses these powerful bone plating armor, and I've had to kind of figure out how to represent that in D&D. So, in order to do this, I have it as a monstrosity, and it has an armor class of 18 on conditions. Now, for this bone armor, it's going to have, the bones of dead armor of dead creatures, but if you deal 35 damage in one single turn, you reduce it by 1. Now, it doesn't have enough hit points where it could, go all the way down to a 12 on this much life. I mean, that would be, 6 times 35. That's going to be a very, very good, I think, 200 hit points. However, it's very possible I'd have this be like the pet of maybe like a death cleric, because, this thing would be a very capable guard for the graveyard. So in which case he could be healing this the entire time, which is where it would actually be able to use this rearmor ability, where it can just kind of go over to its anywhere that bones are collected, for instance in a Death Cleric's area, bury itself for its full turn, and then come back up with its 18 AC, and then go right back to slamming people with body slam, chin slam, tails. It has this incredible roll attack in which it can move twice its speed, which means because this is an action, it can move 30 feet into like a position where it can roll into creatures, and then just instantly roll out. It has to move in a straight line, so it can't like turn to just hit everyone, but it can plow through anyone that it hits. They all have to make dexterity saving throws, which isn't impossible, but it's high enough that at least a few people would probably be taking a lot of this damage. Just because normally I would say that, even if you succeed, you'll take half. In this case, because of how Monster Hunter World works, I'm willing to say that you just dive out of the way and don't have to take half damage. On the other hand, once per day, I gave it this coma burst, where it can shoot out this knockout gas, spraying it all over anyone within 15 feet, and it basically acts like the sleep spell, except without the hit point requirement. They're unconscious for 1 minute, or until the sleeper takes damage, or until someone uses their action to wake up that sleeper. So that's already going to be ruining their, action economy. They have no idea what to do after this happens. It should be a very good way to surprise them. But it is a CR9 enemy, so I'd expect it to be fairly powerful. But I do think that having this patrolling graveyards would make a lot of sense. Just, keep in mind, this is a Monster Hunter World monster. Don't use this for something where you're like, oh yes, this is my creation. And here's the Radobaan. Now, I really enjoy this monster. I'll link or put it in an iCard. I don't know which one yet. Depends on when I can figure out how to work. But I have a couple videos where I've taken this guy on. I'll probably only leak the most recent one, though, because that's better film quality, newer, and it's a bit more powerful in that one. But now we've got to move on to the final monster, and I'm excited to bring you this one. And finally, the third and final creature, the Clown. Now this is going to be a unique monster. In fact, I'm just going to click this right ahead and say that this is unique, because trust me, this is kind of a one-of-a-kind creature that I'll be using in one of my campaigns down the line. But you are always welcome to use anything that I show you in one of my videos. I mean, if you want, you can feel free to let me know that, hey, I want to use this, do you mind? I'll be like, yes, absolutely. You don't have to ask. But if you do use them, I would love to hear some stories, especially for this guy, because I think he could be a lot of fun, and you can customize him as well. Now, just open him up. There you go. Now, he is quite large, as you can probably see. Now, has a good amount of hit points, very high CR, or at least, higher than my current party is at, so they won't be thrown up against this guy for at least a while. But he has some immunities, resistances, condition immunities, no weaknesses in terms of vulnerability. He has a collection of spells, all of which I can kind of see being used in order to kind of spread chaos, upset the party, make it so they don't even know what to expect. He makes it incredibly easy to die around him. And this is kind of my favorite ability I gave him. It's this unknowable being. Basically, you don't know what kind of creature he is. He's not a human, he's not a monstrosity, hold person doesn't work on him, hold monster doesn't work on him. Any spell that specifically says it can do this to this kind of creature is declared null and void. He is unaffected at all. Even if it's it deals half damage if it's not this creature, not to this one. His action is Killing Joke. Doesn't actually deal damage, technically. But you have to make this. You fall prone in a fit of deadly laughter. You're incapacitated, unable to stand up from being prone. Any of his minions, he himself could come over and start whacking at you if he equipped a weapon. He's got some reactions in order to, in case someone is healing, he can go and ruin that for you. He has the ability to replace one of your party members by just teleporting them confusing you two so that you don't actually know which one is which. In fact, it looks entirely like the clown is your friend, and your friend is the clown. So you're most likely going to go and attack one of your own party members because it sounds like him. It looks exactly like him. Meanwhile, the clown is cajoling you on using this, deception +9, persuasion +9. And then he can stealth into a good situation to stab you in the back once he recharges his killing joke. Or, uses one of his spells. Force you all together, then force cage you into one place. Just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect from this guy. Honestly, you can change his spells however you want. If you ask, I will always be happy to send you the stat block I am using. I base this off of a PDF that I have, so admittedly, it's not always try and find a monster that you can use as a basis for your creature, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult, and honestly, very hard to impossible to actually balance it out. And here it is, the third and final picture. I would be disturbed if I saw this coming after me if one of my DMs was like, yes, this creature sees you through a window. What do you do? I think I'd run, which is probably the best choice. This isn't the fastest creature. You can hopefully get away from it, which means not fighting it, because that's honestly the worst case scenario when you're faced with this thing. Regardless, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you use any of these monsters, please feel free to let me know. If you need me, if you want to use them in one of your campaigns and you don't want to just, take a screenshot, I'll be happy to send you my stat block if you have Monster Maker. I'll include the download link in the description. So leave a like, leave a comment if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll be constantly creating more of these now because I've really enjoyed them and they're kind of a fun type of video to create. With that being said, I'm going to end the episode here. Thanks for watching.